Everyone, I want to welcome you to Bible Talk with Felicia. Today we will be going over Genesis chapter 8. In this particular chapter, God remembered Noah and his family and the animals that are in the ark. Now, the flood is, of course, covering the whole earth for 150 days, a whole lot of water. And then as the flood water is, starting to decrease, the ark came to rest on a mountain. And then for 74 days later, the top of the mountain become visible. So now they are able to see. And 40 days later, Noah sent out a raven. Now, if you don't really know what a raven is, they actually like dead animals. So he sent him out to pretty much see if there's anything still dead out there. And, of course, the raven did not come back. So then, that lets him know that, there are still dead animals out there. Then Noah then sent out a dove on 3 occasions. The third time, it did not return. Now, if you don't really know about a dove, they actually like to live in the valley. And so when the third time came and of course the dove did not return back, it let him know that, that there is greenery, that there is actually dry land, that, the raven has that the dove has something to land on. Now, 2 weeks later, he saw that the land was dry, completely dry. Noah stayed in the ark another 57 days until the Lord told him to leave. Now, that is a lesson there, that can really be learned. Noah waited for the Lord to tell him that it's time for you to leave the ark. So many times God tell us to wait, or he said, hey, it's not time for you to leave yet, whether it's a business, your job, even in, a friendship. God's like, hey, it's not time for you to leave yet. And sometimes we leave ahead of time and it create a bunch of drama. So Noah waited on the Lord until God told him to leave. Now, Noah, probably around this time, he's probably about 61 years old. Now, when Noah left the ark, okay, he made a sacrifice to the Lord. And then, of course, God tell Noah family to be fruitful and multiply. And also, this is where God is, talking to Noah, establishing the covenant. Now, that's really the end of Genesis chapter 8. But I want to actually talk about something. And I want to pose this question, because in the beginning of Genesis chapter 8, it stated that God remembered Noah. And I have a few questions to ask. Have you ever felt abandoned by God? Have you ever wondered if God has forgotten you? And really, if you answer yes to both of these questions, then Genesis chapter 8 is for you, because in verse 1 it says this: but God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. And he set a wind over the earth, and the water receded. And let's talk about this. God remember Noah. I think one of the greatest fears is that human beings, they fear that they will be forgotten about. Now, let me say this, and the reason why I keep looking down because I'm looking at my notes. When God said that he remembered Noah, it doesn't mean that God had forgotten about him. But what it means is that in the midst of a great flood, God stayed true to his promise. And God promised to deliver Noah and his family and the animals that was on the ark during the flood. With all the death and the destruction, God still kept his promise. God never forgets us. God always remembers us. And I also want to make this clear is that we must be obedient to God's will. We must obey God. We must understand that if God asks us to do something, we need to do it. If God tells us to build an ark for 120 years, pretty much, we need to do what God asks us to do. If God tells us to keep our mouth shut for 3 days, then shut your mouth. If God tells us, or let's say just tell you, I'm keep using us, but if God tells you, I want you to be a blessing to someone for 3 days. Ding dong, something should click in your head that if he's telling you to be a blessing to someone for 3 days, then something is coming your way. If God tells you to wait, wait before you cut off this friendship, or wait before you ask your boss for a promotion. He's telling you that for a reason. You have to let God do his part before you jump out there. So Noah waited. And then once God told him to leave the ark, he could leave. So really, that's all I have for Genesis chapter 8. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment box below. Please click the thumbs up button, and I will see you Monday. Please have a blessed weekend. Monday, of course, the scripture of the week. And if you want to share anything, or maybe I left something out of Genesis chapter 8, please leave it in the comment box below. And thank you for supporting.